to. Welcome to day 4 of the right triangles unit. Today we're talking about special right triangles. And by the end of the day you'll be able to identify the angles and sides in 30, 60, 90, and 45, 45, 90 degree triangles. The first one we're going to learn is 45, 45, 90 degree triangles. In order to find the hypotenuse, you multiply the leg times the square root of 2. To solve for these, we're going to set up proportions and cross multiply and solve. So it's important to remember this box. The legs are each represented with 1, and the hypotenuse is the square root of 2. In example 1 and 2, we're looking for the hypotenuse. In this case, the leg is 8, and x is going to be the hypotenuse. We're going to set up a proportion with 1 over the square root of 2 being equal to 8 over x. All we're going to do now is cross multiply. X equals 8 square roots 2. Same thing in number 2. The legs are 3 square root 2 and x is the hypotenuse. We're going to set up a proportion 1 over the square root of 2 is equal to 3 square roots 2 over x. We cross multiply. X equals 3 square roots 2 times the square root of 2. The square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 4, which is 2, so we multiply 3 times 2, which is 6. We're still going to use 1 over the square root of 2 to find the legs. For number 3, we know the hypotenuse, so we're going to find the leg. So 1 over the square root of 2 is equal to x over the 5 square roots 2. When we cross multiply, we get x square roots 2 equals 5 square roots 2. Now to solve for x, we divide both sides by the square root of 2. And in this case, the square root of 2's cancel each other out, and we're left with x equals 5. In number 4, 10 is the hypotenuse and x are the legs. Setting up our proportions, 1 over the square root of 2 is equal to x over 10. So x square root 2 equals 10. We divide both sides by the square root of 2. But we can't have a rational number in the denominator, so we have to rationalize the denominator, which means we multiply both sides, top and bottom, by the square root of 2, which gives us 10 square roots 2 over 2. We now can divide 10 divided by 2, which gives us 5, and we still have the square roots 2 left over, so x equals 5 square roots 2. Moving on to 30, 60, 90 degree triangles. The hypotenuse is equal to 2 times the shorter leg. The way to identify the shorter leg is it's always across from the 30 degree angle. So here's your 30 degree angle. Across from it is always going to be the shorter leg. To find the longer leg, you're going to multiply the shorter leg times the square root of 3. So the longer leg is always across from the 60 degree angle. Okay, but again, we're going to use proportions. We're going to cross multiply. We're going to solve. Okay, for this one, the shorter leg is represented with the 1, the hypotenuse is 2, and the longer leg is the square root of 3. So we're going to find the values of the variables. So for this example, we're going to look for x and y. Okay, so we're going to set it up by using the short leg of the 30, 60, 90 over the long leg of the 30, 60, 90, which is saying 1 over the square root of 3 is equal to the short leg in the problem over the long leg in the problem. So 1 over the square root of 3 is equal to x over 9. When we cross multiply, x square root 3 equals 9. We divide both sides by the square root of 3. Again, we can't have a radical in the denominator. Okay, so we multiply top and bottom by the square root of 3. We get 9 square roots 3 over 3. And 9 divided by 3 gives us 3, and we still have the square root of 3 left over. So x is equal to 3 square root 3. We're going to do a similar thing for looking for y. We're going to have the long leg, which is square root of 3, over the hypotenuse, which is 2, is equal to the long leg in the problem over the hypotenuse in the problem. So square root of 3 over 2 is equal to 9 over y. We cross multiply y square root 3 is equal to 18. divide both sides by the square root of 3, multiply the top and the bottom by square root of 3. 18 square root's 3 over 3, and then we divide 18 divided by 3, and we get 6 square roots 3 is equal to y. In 6, we're just looking for x, which in this case is going to be the longer leg. So we're going to do long leg over short leg, which is square root of 3 over 1. Or I'm sorry, we're doing short leg over long leg and short leg over long leg. So 1 over the square root of 3 is equal to the square root of 3 over x, which x equals 3, because square root of 3 times square root of 3 is the square root of 9, which is a perfect square, and it is 3. Number 7. The logo on our recycling bin resembles an equilateral triangle with side lengths of 6 centimeters. What is the approximate height of the logo? So here's a picture of the triangle that we're looking at. An equilateral triangle, all 3 sides are equal. They're all 6 centimeters. Okay? And we also have a 30, 60, 90 degree right triangle. So, to set up a proportion using the hypotenuse and the long leg, that's how we're going to solve for x. We know the hypotenuse is 6 centimeters. The long leg is x, because we don't know what that is. So we set it up by doing square root of 3 over 2 is equal to x over 6. Cross multiply 2x equals 6 square roots 3. We divide both sides by 2, and we get 3 square roots of 3. And number 8, this chart at the bottom, we're going to do during class together.